The next two individuals we are going to meet work together to research and document the data available on Swampfoot. Dr. Darlick is a biologist at Florida State University in Tallahassee, Florida. Buford Davis is a local trapper in the Bog Bottom Swamp. Together, they have collected quite a surprising amount of evidence. First, we'll talk with Dr. Richard Darlick.
We have such a staggering amount of evidence that we've gotten from the field that we believe Swampfoot to be undeniable. Yet, as I'm sure you know, and I'm sure as many of the people watching know, my research into Swampfoot has been called hack work. It's laughable. It's a joke. I've fallen for a con. And all the other slanders that my colleagues and I suppose people of the public throw at me. And this is why I've granted this interview. I have some of the evidence that I think undeniably proves Swampfoot exists here in front of me. This is the best photograph that we have of Swampfoot. As you can see, it's a glade of trees, but if you look very, very carefully at it, you can see here that there is a silhouette of a creature that does not represent any of the known species of this area, or for that matter, any known species of this world. All right, and if you just follow my finger here, here's the outline. We can see the outline right there. I think you can tell that that is a creature that is not normally walking the woods and the swamps of Florida. Now over here on my left, we have a plaster cast of the footprint of Swampfoot. This was obtained when I met a man out in the swamps named Buford Davis. He's kind of a legend in his parts. Some say he's part crazy, but he is a superior tracker, and he is probably the best for practically understanding the geography and ecology of the area Swampfoot is known to be in.
And he led you to this foot?
Yes, he did.
Must have been about 14 first time I saw the critter. I was down checking my beaver trap line down by the lake a few miles east of here. All of a sudden, little Boogie was just a pup then, bristled all the way up and started to run backwards. Never saw him move like that before. Then I heard this rustling in the woods from where he was backing away from, and it sounded like it had to be as big as a bear. And I couldn't believe it. There aren't any bears left in that section. And then all of a sudden I saw this big shaggy head. Oh, man. Oh, man, it scared the shit out of me.
You were the one that led Dr. Darlick to the footprints that he showed me the other day.
That's right. I certainly did. The professor hired me to do this because I was the one who had the reputation. I don't know how I got it, but there you are.
How many people out here? I've heard there's a lot of people out here who do a lot of moonshining out here in these woods.
All these woods have all sorts of nefarious goings on. You just know where to avoid it and don't go near those sections because there aren't going to be any animals there, obviously.
And can you tell me, have you ever run into any of these moonshiners out here?
It happens.
You yourself wouldn't happen to be a moonshiner, would you?
Of course not. No, I'm too busy. You got to check your trap lines every day. And it just takes up too much time.
Some people in downtown Havana, have told me that not only do you moonshine out here, you use the Swampfoot creature, you dress up like Swampfoot to keep people away from your moonshine still.
Balderdash. Don't believe a word of it. It's nonsense.
So you don't moonshine out here at all?
Never.
Never.
Too busy, too mobile. You have a big still, takes one spot, you can't move it around.
You're a trapper.
That's right.
Okay.
Only what's in season, too.
Uh-huh.
I believe in conservation. I want my children to have the right and the pleasure of being able to kill things, too.
You've showed Dr. Darlick different spots where you've seen swampfoot.
That's correct.
Could you take us and show us maybe where swampfoot is?
I don't think so. That's not a good idea.
And that is Swampfoot's actual foot.
This is Swampfoot's actual foot.
His footprint.
There were a number of these footprints. This is just one of the many that we saw out there. And here is proof. Obviously, Swampfoot does walk on 2 feet. We can tell by his gait. You can tell by the number of toes
I
that he is equipped for balance.
8 to 10 toes there.
That's correct.
To me, that suggests that he's either a mutant, or even perhaps maybe that's two footprints stuck right next to each other.
Well, we don't think that it's 2 footprints stuck right next to each other. The reason we know that is because there would be evidence in terms of the layering of the dirt if indeed 2 footprints were laid into one hole. We really cannot say for sure. It is a possibility that he is the missing link. I wouldn't want to speculate at this time that that was indeed the case. We still have certain analysis to do. And the reason we can't say that he's the missing link, I can explain to you with this third and most convincing piece of evidence that we have.
And that is?
This is something that Buford Davis, Mr. Davis, also obtained for us in one of his traps. I don't know for what reason. Swampfoot wandered into it. I myself have tried to capture Swampfoot before. He seems to have far too much intelligence to get caught into traps, which leads us to believe that he is above the primates in intelligence, and possibly is high in the intelligence scheme as man himself. But why this hair is so interesting, to return to my original point, is we have had it analyzed, and what we have found is that the DNA structure of this fur is similar to no other fur that we now know of. We have run computer analysis, cross-referencing it with all the animals that we know to live on this continent, and for that matter, on other continents. A man named Joe Bradford has actually filmed Swampfoot, I believe, on 8mm. Now, I have only seen a copy of a film, and
we've tried to get in touch with Joe ourselves, and he won't talk about the situation. He seems extremely agitated about the whole Swampfoot affair.
Well, and there's good reason for that. People's superstition lead us to that.
This is Joe Bradford's house. Joe is home, but he refuses to discuss Swampfoot with us. In fact, he even refuses to come to the door. Nevertheless, here now is a copy of the actual footage shot by Joe Bradford less than 1 mile from this very spot.
Whether it is on the public level, as in the case of Mr. Bradford, or, as I am doing, we are going to be ridiculed simply out of fright. People do not want to think that nature is disorderly, that nature can produce an anomaly that we cannot explain, like Swampfoot.
To believe or not to believe? One wonders if that is even a question. UFOs, wild parties, drug abuse, DWIs, and the ulterior profit motive. These are all factors that can induce people into believing in Swampfoot. But if there really is an anomaly like Swampfoot, what are we going to do about him? And perhaps a better question, should we do anything at all? I'm Miguel Duran for Looking For. Join us next week when we'll be looking for sexual encounters with UFOs.
I was out getting high in the woods, okay? I didn't know. I was just minding my own business, getting high. Here comes this hubcap looking thing all the way down. Couldn't believe it. They land on these platform things. This door opens up. Then I thought, oh God, I'm finished, right? And who comes down but these 7'2" blonde-haired women? I couldn't believe it. So four of them came down. They walked down this ramp-looking thing, came up to me, and put their hands like this, said, we will not harm your planet, we will not harm your planet, okay?
They were green, they were 3 feet tall, and they did it over and over and over again.
They were this big!
They were this big!
My name is Miguel Duran.